But now, I want your calls on this. Should Donald Trump lay off Prince Harry? 0207 862 2222 is that number, so do give us a call. Now, the former US president, and potentially the next one as well, has hit out at the Duke of Sussex for betraying the late Queen Elizabeth and called his treatment of the royal family unforgivable. Trump also suggested he could make life harder for the royal, who now lives, obviously, as we're all aware, in California with Meghan and their 2 children. And that's if Trump wins the next election. Biden administration has been too gracious, according to Trump, by allowing Harry to get a visa application and for the details to remain sealed. We don't know what went on. This has prevented the public from knowing if he lied about the drug use mentioned in his memoir, Spare. Remember that? Now, the papers are warning that that a Trump presidency could end his American dream. There you go, that's the American papers you can see there. Now, infamously, in his memoir, which is basically an autobiography, Harry admitted to taking drugs, A-class drugs. I mean, sort of like not just cannabis, but, you know, A-class drugs, Bagley speed, like and magic mushrooms, and et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. And evidently, you can't, if you have admitted to drugs or a criminal record for drugs, you are not allowed a visa to go to America.
Well, that's at the discretion of the American government, and it's up to them if they want to keep it sealed.
But we don't know. We don't know. Now,
and you're not entitled to know either. No, that's up to the American government.
But this court case is also saying that, well, what Harry wrote in the book might not be actually true. So, I mean, recollections may vary. I'm going to come to you first on this one, Mike. I mean, would Trump be right if he gets to be the next president, and that's going to happen potentially in November, would he be right to say to Harry, right, OK, you admit to taking drugs, op it?
Well, as Narinder's pointed out, there's no clear-cut rule here, and it is at the discretion of the president, you see what I mean? So it depends on the political circumstances at the time. But just shifting this story slightly, I feel so warmly towards President Trump, because, of course, that's...
What?
No, he'll always be called President Trump because he's been president. He might be the next
warmly,
president.
You feel warmly towards him.
I tell you why. I tell you why, because listen to this. I didn't like the way they dealt with the Queen. I became very friendly with the Queen. Hang on. She was an incredible woman. I think it's not a good situation going on with the 2 of them. Now,
he hasn't said anything about... It's his grandma. He can say what he likes.
He's speaking so warmly about the Queen, who was with me all of my life until, sadly, she passed away.
She was with me all my life.
Yeah, from the day I was born. And for Donald Trump to recognise the hurt and the damage that Prince Harry did to his grandmother.
He hasn't done any hurt or damage.
The most gracious woman in the world.
No, she wasn't.
Come on, her story was... Her family was smashed to pieces in the years before she died due to Harry deciding to pursue a different way of life.
No, let's talk about Prince Andrew.
Prince Andrew was disgraceful.
Prince Harry did not say anything about his grandma at all. He had a very good relationship.
He smashed up the family.
Donald Trump... No, he didn't smash it up.
Harry and William don't talk to each other anymore.
And why is that?
Because Harry smashed up the family.
No, because William threw him under the bus. You know what we need to talk about here is Donald Trump has no business in talking about our royal family.
Why not?
He's got no business.
His mother was Scottish.
Should I tell you what he should be
talking about?
He's a
Britophile. He's a Britophile who loves this country.
As an American, what Donald Trump needs to focus on is why Prince Andrew has failed to turn up in America to talk to American authorities about his involvement with
That's a fair point, but let's keep it.
That is what Trump needs to be talking about. He needs to keep out of Harry. He's got no business to talk about Harry, because actually Harry had a very good relationship with his grandma. He had a very close relationship. Him and Meghan.
And he didn't give her any stress. By going to America,
How do you know he caused the Queen stress?
Well, I think a lady in her late 90s would be quite stressed out to find that her grandson was writing books which ended up smashing up many members of the royal family, pitting them against each other.
Well, actually, she should have dealt with her family better then.
And basically choosing to make $100 million by basically ratting on his own family, the most famous family in the world.
They deserve to be ratted on.
Well, not in my view.
Going back to what you were saying about Andrew earlier on, I know we're keeping it to Harry, but I mean, Trump hasn't mentioned Andrew
Exactly,
at all.
why
So we're
not?
not. Yeah. So why? So what do you think Trump has got against Harry and Meghan in particular?
You know, I actually can't figure out what is his problem with Harry and Meghan.
Oh, come
Is
on,
it, who's in his ear? Is his friend Nigel Farage in his ear saying something about Harry and Meghan? Because I actually don't know what his problem is with Harry and Meghan. Or
Do you think it could be an element of racism?
I think there's a racism and misogyny element with Donald Trump. He's been very famous in the locker room, his locker room chat about how he speaks about
way
women,
off subject here.
how he talks about people of colour, how he talks about women. And I think you've got Harry there, who he thinks
I think that's nonsense.
He's actually said to Piers Morgan, he's whipped.
Do you not remember the pictures?
He's the problem.
Do you not remember the pictures of the President of the United States, Donald Trump, on his state visit here, how warmly the embrace emotionally was between the late Queen and Donald Trump? But he felt honoured. He felt honoured to be in her presence, and that's why the late Queen, Queen Elizabeth II, is in his heart in a way that she doesn't seem to be in the heart of Harry.
He's a dreadfully racist, misogynistic man.
OK, fine. OK, right. Should we talk to some callers?
Yeah, let's.
OK, let's.
Gertrude.
Ooh, good luck. Gertrude in London. Good luck, Gertrude. What would you like to say?
Yes, I hope I can get a word in and nobody will interrupt me because I only have a few minutes. What I would like to say, it seems true that people have forgotten that so many asked for the Queen to stop the affair between Charles and Camilla. Because they thought it was embarrassing to the royal family, and it was also unfair to Diana. Everywhere she went, they knew the affair was going on. Then when Andrew Morton's book came out, it nearly brought down the monarchy because they were shocked to read that Diana had made several suicide attempts. And the whole book was really how she did not feel supported. And, you know, she criticized Margaret, Princess Margaret, and she criticized the Queen Mother because that was where Camilla and Charles met for, shall we call it, tea.
So, Gertrude, sorry, what's this got to do with Harry?
That has got to do with when they're saying he has disregarded his mother.
Right.
Also, there is about at least 50 so-called authors, royal expert, courtiers, correspondent, who have written books about Harry.
OK, so Gertrude...
All with a different take on the same issue and all with very private information. Where have they got it from?
Okay, so Gertrude, just quickly, lovely, would you be happy to see Harry sent back to the UK, or do you think Trump should keep his nose out? Yes or no?
Harry will never come back to the US. And I have lost count on how many times former head of terrorism, counterterrorism, Neil Pursu, had come out and say that while Harry and Meghan were living here, they have had so many death threats from the far right, and that have been investigated, and many have been prosecuted. So how they can come and say that, you know, there is no evidence.
OK, Gertrude, thank you so much. I don't want to interrupt, I know, but sorry. We've got so many callers coming in. Gertrude, thank you for your call. Let's go to Martin in South Yorkshire. Hello, Martin. What would you like to say?
I think Donald Trump is a brave man for saying it because he's the only person that is willing to stand up and say what lots and lots of people think about. He's destroyed the family. He's broken the family. He should not say in public what he said about his grandma.
Okay. Why shouldn't he talk about the grievances he had in that family, in that toxic family? Why shouldn't Harry, it's his family, he can talk about his family. We shouldn't be talking about his family. He's the grandson. He can talk about his own family. Why shouldn't he?
He shouldn't do it in public.
I agree.
But they've publicly given stories against him.
Please don't
There's no evidence of that.
Sorry, Martin, we're losing your line there a bit, unfortunately. So we'll leave it there. Thank you, Martin, for your call. Oh, my God, so many to get in. Hold on, I'm just going to get some calls.
Sure.
Right, let's go to Lucy in Essex. Lucy, good afternoon. Is it afternoon? It's afternoon. Good afternoon, Lucy. What would you like to say?
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Yeah, I think everyone should lay off of Prince Harry. I think he was backed into a corner to have to do that. He had to make himself a celebrity because he wasn't backed by his grandmother to have round-the-clock security, which probably stemmed from childhood trauma from what happened to his mum. And he is a kidnap risk, and his family probably are for money reasons, etc., because he's high profile. And I think, you know, he had nothing to be famous for. Meghan can't really go back to acting because she's now a royal, and they had no other way. I mean, if you look at how much money his mother left him and what he had in the bank, and that he was just doing a job in the army, he would never have been able to survive on that for the rest of his life and have security for his family, which is a fundamental need for somebody born into that position.
So, Lucy, just quickly, I mean, if Trump did become the next president and did decide to revoke Harry's visa and therefore he had to come back to the UK, would you be happy to have him back?
Yes, yeah.
Lucy, can I just ask?
I think Trump just wants to hate on everybody and make a point about anything for ridiculous reasons half the time. He's a hater.
OK.
Lucy, you said he was, you know, was entitled to earn money where he did, but he made up stories about the present Queen, his stepmother. He put them in the book. He made up stories. She was leaking.
So you're saying he's a liar. So you're saying Camilla probably was leaking information.
No, she wasn't.
How do you know?
Because I do know. I know these things. We work in this business, and she didn't leak stories. And he said she did.
I didn't say he was entitled. I said that he was backed into a corner because the institution and the royal family refused to pay for his security, so he had to become...
But then he made up stories about his stepmother, the present Queen.
That's debatable,
it's
Mike.
Not debatable.
She didn't make up... Camilla is the reason what his mother went through so much hell. He's got to... you know, obviously, I would feel protective over my mother. She put diet... She had an affair.
Making up
she had an affair.
Right, OK, unfortunately, I mean, this court case is implying, you know, that he may or may not have made up stuff in his book, so we don't know, do we? Blimey. Right, OK, thanks, Lucy, and thanks for all your calls on this. It's a lively one this morning, isn't it? Right, we have to move on, though, unfortunately. After the break, we're...